Today we come to the fifth part of our unit on digital marketing and branding, and this unit is about brand creation, development and management process. First of all, we will understand the concept of branding. What is branding all about? It is the intangible sum of a product's attributes, that is its name, packaging, price, its history, its reputation and the way it is advertised. So, all these things together make a brand. You can also define it as a name, a sign or a symbol used to identify items or services of the sellers and to differentiate them from goods of competitors. So, that is another way of defining branding. But we should keep in mind that products are made in the factory, but brands are created in the mind. Branding is all about the perception and the message you are able to convey to the consumer in his mind. A brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service or a company. Certain products we say this would be good, that brand creates that kind of a feeling, a gut feeling in you. Now, how to go about brand creation? What are the reasons or the needs to create a brand? First thing is either a new product or a company has been created. You are an entrepreneur, you are starting a new company, a new startup is there and you are going to create your own brand. Second need is there is a desire to change an existing brand to better reflect new business objectives. You are changing your new business your objectives, you are repositioning your product, you are targeting possibly a new segment audience. So, this is called rebranding. There may be a solid business reason to change or refresh a brand and a brand idea. So, these are two reasons for which we go in for brand creation. One is creating a new brand, second is repositioning your existing brand. Then what are the aspects which should be kept in mind while creating a brand? First is start with the right commitment. From the top to the bottom, your decision makers should be on board. It is critical to have the top management especially on board before starting a branding process, because the kind of resources which will be committed, the kind of change it will bring about and the risk involved requires that the top management is on board. Then start with the right business strategy. Good branding cannot save a poor product or business. If your product is poor, whatever amount of branding you want to go in for, it won't save it. So, see to it that your business strategy is right, your product is targeting the right audience, only then go in for branding. Start with the right focus. One of the important steps in a branding project is to create a framework that identifies and compares all possible interaction points where a customer experiences the brand. So, once you have identified those interaction points where the customer is coming in touch with your brand, you need to focus your message accordingly. Then analyze the brand's equity. When a rebrand is undertaken or if a new brand has another brand attached to it, it is important to understand where the current brand equity lies to avoid inadvertently losing key elements that are actively building consumer recognition and relevant brand associations. So, your existing brand has certain brand equity. It is connected to consumers in certain ways. See to it that the good parts of that brand equity are not lost while rebranding or while going in for a fresh branding. An example of this is for the redesign of the Gatorade packaging in 2002, PepsiCo and Landor conducted equity research with customers. They were asked to draw the bottle. This was a simple exercise, but one that resulted in marked consistency of output. So, most of the people were drawing it in a similar way. The lightning bolt seemed to be the most important and distinctive design element associated with the brand. So, through this exercise it could be found that the lightning bolt is more recognizable. That is something which is associated with the brand. It was recalled and drawn many times and consumers associated it with the spark of energy. So, that message was being conveyed. Other aspects like the orange cap or the brand colors or the bottle shape, they also had a strong recall, but not invoking those kind of emotional responses. So, that was the result of this study. But then this recallability is not about everything, awareness is not about everything, equity is not simply about awareness, it is also about relevance. Message came across as spark of energy, was it what we wanted to convey or not is important. Overemphasizing recognition in the brand equity equation is a quick way to get immediately distorted picture of a brand's value. So if people know about the brand, but it does not reflect what you want it to stand for in their minds, then it is not relevant to keep that message. Right message should go into the minds of the consumers. So what aspects should be kept in mind while creating a brand? The first is uncover insights and identify opportunities. From a advertising agency's point of view, the process of creating a new brand or a rebrand usually starts with a situation analysis. This is also called an audit of your brand. Opportunities are usually identified through a combination of insights that connect multiple areas such as your competition, your category in which you are operating, your customers, the product or organization, heritage, ambition, stories building around the brand and its architecture. So all these things are combined together and audit done, and that will help you to uncover insights and identify opportunities. Basic steps which we use to create the brand is, first is define the brand idea. What is the idea you want to develop, so which will be conveyed to the consumers by a brand. So it takes smart people, clarity and creativity of thought, debate and research to determine the right brand idea. A lot of smart people sit together, they think in a very clear, concise way, they look at creativity of thought and debate in their actions also. So all this leads to defining the brand idea. The most important thing about your brand idea is that it is differentiated from the competition and relevant to your target audience. You should be able to differentiate from the competition and have your idea which is relevant to the target audience. It is essential to give the target audience a reason to choose your brand over all others. Your message should create that feeling, that emotion in your target audience, that they'll choose you by ignoring your competition. Then creating the brand idea also requires a leap of faith to articulate something that captures the good about the present state of the brand, and more importantly a vision for its future. And the brand idea should also be ownable, not in the sense of patenting that idea, your company is patented it or not, that is not the meaning of ownable, but in the sense of delivering the idea relentlessly and with commitment. Your employees, your stakeholders, they should own the brand idea and they should relentlessly drum it into the minds of your consumers. Then defining the brand architecture. One component of developing a brand strategy requires establishing a clear structure and relationship among brands in a portfolio. You have numerous brands, how do they relate to each other, what is the structure through which they will be interacting with each other in the market, that is called defining the brand architecture. This process is also called brand architecture because fundamentally it is about deciding what you want to show as your face to the market and how to present your goods and services to your target audience. So that architecture and its definition is very important. So there are normally three kinds of brand architectures. One is called a mono brand strategy. It is also called a branded house, in which one brand is applied across everything. Your company may be in 10 products operating in different areas. The same brand will be used in every product and every industry area or service area. Second way is an endorsed or sub brand strategy, in which the organization owns a variety of brands that include the parent name in some way. Examples are Nestle, Cadbury, Marriott. So parent name like Nestle would be there, sub brand or sub categorization would be for different products they are launching. Then there is a multi-brand strategy or a house of brands, in which a company uses many different brands with no parent endorsement. The original company name doesn't come into the brand. Examples are Procter & Gamble, Dago, GlaxoSmithKline. So all these are using multi-brand strategy. But actually what is happening now is more and more companies are acquiring other companies, some are divesting of certain businesses. So those companies which are being acquired, they already have some brand or some strength in their brand. Sometimes we don't want to change that brand. So today we are more into a hybrid strategy. a big corporate house may be having numerous brands. Some may be running in a mono-brand way, some in a sub-brand way. Basically, a hodgepodge or a hybrid kind of a situation arises now. So, various steps which are taken into account while creating a brand includes defining the brand personality. You need to define the brand personality you want in the market. It is critical for companies to move beyond being faceless organizations and express authentic personalities to thrive in the social media era. Defining the personality and expressing it across all interactions with consumers is an important way to differentiate a brand and build relevance with customers. Bhargava describes personality as the unique, authentic and talkable soul of a brand. So, it is about the soul of a brand basically. Your personality is the soul of a brand that people can get passionate about. Your employees, your stakeholders, your consumers, they will all get passionate about that soul if it is properly defined and properly marketed. Defining company values is often the way large corporations try to articulate this. One way of building internal passion for brands is through the creation of stories. You create stories around your brand and that also creates a kind of soul for your brand. Then second step is producing the creative brief. Once you have had your brand idea and brand personality in place, the core visual and verbal symbols can be developed. The artwork, they are usually encapsulated in a creative brief, the creative part of this thing. It literally is a short document that a creative team will work from as it designs and generates names, brand lines and visual and sensory identities. So, a small one-page document could be there and that will basically give you the different visual and verbal symbols which a creative team will have as its brief. They will work from that as their starting point. So, a good brief is concise, often only maybe one page, uses words and pictures to help stimulate creativity and has the brand idea and personality at its core. It also reflects learning about competitors and market categories from a situation analysis. Obtaining client sign off, you have done all this, now you need to show the created brand to your client as an advertising agency or a professional. So, obtaining client sign off on the brief is a critical part of managing expectations when it comes to reviewing your work. Review would be by the top management or by your client. How do we manage the brand? Once the foundational signals are in place for a new or refreshed brand, the next step is to begin the process of codifying and communicating these to all the people who will use them. You have created the symbolism, you have created the messaging, you have done the creative part. Now, communicate that message to the people who will be your viewers, your customers, your users. This is a time consuming process with the implementation and not the production of the visual identity elements that takes the most time. So, implementation is what takes time. Production of the visual identity elements, it is not that time consuming and also not that money consuming also. Creation of brand identity does not take money, communicating, implementing takes a lot of money. This can include media testing, creation of templates. Templates would be for specific applications such as presentations, business cards, stationery sheets, brochures, internal websites, country specific home pages, design of packaging mechanicals. For example, you can have printer ready files created to printer specifications and so on. So, all this is part of your brand management. Implementing a brand requires developing a plan for every touch point on the customer journey. It is inevitably means creating guidelines, visual identity guidelines, verbal identity guidelines, digital guidelines and print guidelines. All these guidelines are your documents which will be used to manage when your brand is being implemented in the market, either through traditional methods or through digital means. So, an implementation process might involve updating training modules and brand resource centers. Some organizations develop help centers particularly in the months pre and post launch and create brand modules for new recruits to educate them on exactly what the brand stands for and how to use and live it. So, whatever branding exercise you have done, your new recruits, your new employees, they should be trained on that. The implementation process also needs to factor in all other communication partners and their work. For example, advertising, marketing, Facebook sites, screensavers, press releases, leadership speeches, conferences, events, exhibitions, offices, chairs, pens, everything reflects your brand. Everything reflects the brand message. That is part of the implementation. So, this process is typically seen as the key part of the brand management, which is generally interpreted as the means of controlling a brand and keeping its expression consistent. Brand management should not be about policing standards, but rather about nurturing and developing the ongoing brand experience for the customers. It should be, rather than push out a stock message, you should be able to softly put it across in the actual sense in which it has been developed. Today we create brand ideas that transcend the need to impose discipline by inviting partnerships with people inside and outside an organization who want to be part of the idea. So, you try to create partnerships with other companies, with clients, with suppliers, with customers, and they become part of your idea. That is the basic aim. Brands are no longer about one way communication, they are about dialogue between the brand and its customers. So, brand management today should be about determining what cannot change and what must change. Advertising agency DDB talks about 70-30 rule, 70% consistency but 30% flexibility. So, the 30% portion relates to language and cultural differences. Different markets, different segments have certain differentiations through in terms of maybe language or culture or buying behavior. So, all these things need to be calibrated and some kind of a flexibility required. So, target market, you should have insights into it and its preferences and accordingly change your message. Thank you for a patient hearing, and with this we complete our Unit 7 regarding digital messaging and branding. Thank you so much.